Hello everyone, today we're going to take a look at a little indie title that goes by the name of Rack and Ruin. Rack and Ruin is a game made by LifeSpark Entertainment. They have kindly provided me a review code, full disclosure, and it's available right now on Steam for $10, not an early access or anything, just as a release. What is it? Well, it caught my attention mostly because of the art style. It's very cute, but also very reminiscent of some kind of early 90s cartoons and things like that. I'm reminded a lot of Invader Zim, actually, which is one of my favorite cartoons of the time, actually like mid-90s. And it looks a lot like Invader Zim in terms of the character designs and things, especially for the main character, and the human NPCs look a lot like people from Invader Zim and things. A lot of the facial expressions that your main character can make are also really Zim-esque, which I definitely, appreciate. So the game itself is mostly based around the kind of almost Zelda-esque ideas of your 2D top-down or isometric kind of adventure with RPG elements. It's, you know, got some similarities to games like Binding of Isaac and things like that, only it's not a roguelite or a roguelike kind of game. It's, again, it's a lot more like a Metroidvania or like Zelda. A lot like Zelda, in fact. It uses the same general formula of games like that, where you have a kind of large overworld that you go between, and then there are various temples or dungeons and things along the way that you have to face to unlock new abilities and items which will allow you to get into areas previously inaccessible and continue exploring the world and things like that. You get the kind of general idea. A lot of Metroidvania style games use that formula, the idea that, you know, you're given a basic tool set, and then as you explore, you'll unlock new spells or items or what have you, and they let you get to areas that you previously couldn't before. There's, you know, the blue wall, you need the blue key to get through, or whatever the case is. In this case, it is mostly based around... Oh, I wonder what those switches did. Mostly based around spells. You are... oh god. You are a sort of demon-like entity that is not a particularly kind person, but is really funny. And your goal is to corrupt this world, this particular planet. You're trying to explore through it, solve its mysteries, and corrupt it in the name of your master, Ruin. You are, of course, Rack. And along the way, you discover various things about the world, and you're led on a bit of an adventure through it and its kind of mysterious past, including things like ancient technology and stuff like that in some of the temples that you'll find. And the in-game map is actually fairly large. Each of these is a different area. Right now I'm trying to get to this, I'm in this area, the Cascade Bluffs, and I'm trying to get to the Crystal Foresty area here, where my next objective is, and I believe I get my final main ability there, which is an ice spell. There are a bunch of places that I haven't yet been able to access because I'm missing the ice spell. And the general gameplay is very familiar, I think, to a lot of people. You have an assortment of main attack spells. You start with this, and I've upgraded it a couple times to the point where it explodes and splits into multiple projectiles when it hits something, so it's made your basic attack very useful. You also have this, which is a sort of darkness elemental sword. It is fast-swinging melee range, and it gives you more mana. That green bar over there is your magic meter, which you use for various things. And then you have this, which chains between multiple enemies and is quite powerful, but it uses your mana meter when it actually hits something, so you can't use it infinitely. You also have some spell books you can find. A lot of them are optional. You either buy them for a lot of money, which are the souls down here, or you find them in various kind of out-of-the-way places, which is standard for the kind of Zelda-esque overworld, where there are, like, various hidden, like, alcoves and grottos and secrets and lots of puzzles that you'll have to face your way through and stuff. I appear to not be able to actually go anywhere from here. Maybe I can jump down here? No, I cannot. I'm not sure where to go. I don't see a wall that I can blow up with a bomb. That is another fairly standard Zelda-esque, oh, there we go. I can jump down a specific point. You can jump down some ledges. And you also have, of course, your various items. There, as you can see here, you've got a hotbar full of items, and you have an inventory. There are lots of items in the game. You have your bombs, which can mostly be used to blow holes in walls, although they are useful sometimes for large groups of enemies, but they take a while to explode. And you've also got some other things, an elemental boomerang, which is actually a sort of horn. You've got, like, extra lives, essentially. Even some weird things like turrets, these gangrenous toes, yes, and little pieces of chaos that basically make you, like, spew out a bunch of bullets everywhere. The items fit the art style, as in it's very strange, it's off, and I really appreciate it. You may notice that the game itself is actually really good looking. It's a pretty beautiful art style in its own way. It's obviously hand-drawn, and it looks very, very good, and I'm also really impressed with the transition between the standard areas and the corrupted ones. When you actually get to a specific part of an area, these altar-y thingies here, you can pay in a bunch of souls to the object and corrupt that entire area, which will change the background music, change the look of the area, and also change all of the enemies to corrupted variants, which are much harder and often a little more horrifying. And they let you more or less progress through the game, because you'll get some power from doing so. They also act as fast travel points once they've been corrupted. And you can also find a lot of extra loot and previously inaccessible places that you can now get to once the area has been successfully corrupted. These particular enemies right here actually turn into nightmares when they're corrupted, because those little mines they leave behind get much more powerful and difficult to avoid. So you may have also noticed that you have a shield. The shield is useful, but it takes a lot of your magic meter when you get hit if you're not careful, so you gotta be a bit wary of how much magic you have left. And it also means you can't fire while it's active, so you gotta choose one. It also allows you to telekinetically move around boxes, like so, which can be useful. A lot of puzzles in the various temples and things actually require that you do that. There are a lot of puzzles that involve moving boxes around. Mostly due to the fact that it does use the, the Metroidvania-esque temple layouts of, they are temples full of enemies and full of various different kinds of puzzles that you have to overcome to actually progress through it. And there are often optional chambers and things with particularly difficult puzzles compared to the rest of the temple with optional items and stuff like that. So overall, it's actually a really impressive little effort because of how much care has obviously went into making it pretty unique. It uses a tried and true gameplay style that we see done often enough, but I find that actually some of my favorite indie games are actually kind of games that have been made in the Metroidvania style in their own way, like Aquaria. I love the game Aquaria. It's fantastic. And it also has a very good hand-drawn art style as well. Obviously a much different themed game altogether, but still. We're gonna plop a bomb over there. And this game definitely does its art style justice. It is a very, very enjoyable little game. So I'm trying to make it to one of these altars to show you what they do, but I must admit that this particular area is a little bit confusing. Purposefully so. It's got a lot of verticality and cliff faces to jump around on like a maniac. Let's hop down here. And then... question mark. I've been through this area once before, but I couldn't actually get into the crystal forest area yet, but now I can, and now that I can't find the entrance again. That's a problem. These particular enemies right here actually become terrifying once the area is corrupted. They're like these weird red, faceless abominations that rush towards you and explode and are in my nightmares. You have, I should also say, a couple of other sort of currencies, I suppose, than these souls that you get. As you can see, you get a lot of them for, killing enemies. These souls are mostly used for purchasing items, but there are also, if you notice in the bottom left right here, this little symbol that also looks like a soul. They are, but they work a bit differently. Those, basically there are lots of human NPCs around the area. And they can do anything for you, from just giving you little hints to just being terrified of you and not wanting to talk to you. And eventually, usually once you've corrupted an area, you can find their ghost lying around somewhere. And once you find their ghost and talk to them, Rack will actually absorb their soul. And those are a currency that you take to an NPC called Merlin, yes, who you can find in an area once you've corrupted it, and actually use them to permanently upgrade your main 4 spells, as well as your shield in different ways, which I'll probably show you towards the end. There is the altar thing. How do I get up to it? Presumably I have to be up there and jump down? Question? But I'm definitely pretty enthralled by the game so far because it's got a good sense of humor, and it's also got a pretty good soundtrack as well that kind of keeps you going. A lot of the temple tracks, the various dungeons, have really pretty nice background tracks going on, and the switch that you get from the non-corrupted areas to the corrupted version of the music is actually pretty cool as well. It sounds neat. The art style I just have to keep coming back to because it's very, very nice, but you also have to be aware of its, the animation style. Animation quality is, of course, a mixed bag in games like this oftentimes, but in this case, because of like the facial expressions that you make in the various NPCs and the enemy styles and things, it's actually really good. The animation style is definitely unique, to say the least. Now, how do I get over to the altar thingy? I really don't know. I may have to stop recording for a minute until I can get through the area again, because I genuinely forget how to actually navigate this place. Working on it. Not doing very well. It's over there, isn't it? This place is a bit confusing for me. Oh, there it is. Hang on. Hang on. Yeah, we got it. Alright, so, here we go. And this is what it looks like when you corrupt an area. You pour in as many souls as the particular place asks for, and suddenly... Ooh, whoosh. And now it's horrifying. So now these little altars will serve as fast travel points, and you can refill your health and mana at one. There we go. It also changes the name of the place. Now this place is actually called the Watchful Cliffs, probably because there's eyeballs everywhere, which isn't creepy at all. And you'll... Oh, who is this clown? Alright, let's see what he's got to say for himself. Here you can see the art style in a bit of a better detail, the way that all the facial expressions work, and like I said, you'll probably see a lot of Invader Zim-ish influence in the main character here. Looks like he actually sells some things. That is a full, well, it's a very heavy health restoring potion. They're pretty expensive, though. That's all he's going to sell for me right now, but those are pretty rare. So it's good to know that there's an NPC that can sell me those. You can also sell your things if you wish, and there's a maximum amount of things that you can actually hold. I've found out that there are key item-esque items, these right here. So I found this bag that basically lets me actually hold a higher maximum of the various consumables and things. And I've also found this amulet, which I don't know what it does, and I also have no idea what any of these are yet. Again, in a very Zelda-esque manner, you have all these mysterious slots in your inventory, and you kind of can't wait to see exactly what fills them. So, yeah, you may have noticed that the place is suddenly much more creepy. This is what the corrupted variants of an area tend to look like. They change entirely. And they can sometimes get a little more difficult to navigate because there are sometimes teleporters and things across the place like those. The enemies are definitely more challenging. What is that? Is it gonna kill me? Oh, I can't get over there. Huh. Excuse me. No? Okay. Oh god, and there's those awful things that I was telling you about. So, looks like my main goal right now is to get back to that crystal entrance, and now that this place is corrupted, I can probably go through it. Green water. That's probably not safe at all. These little whirlwindy enemies are awful because I don't think you can actually kill them. I've tried just about everything. As a question, can I bomb this eyeball? No. No, you cannot. Let's shock some dudes. the game can actually get kind of bullet hell at some points. There can be a large number of projectiles on the screen, and occasionally you'll find some champion-style enemies that have like an aura of invincibility for any other enemies that get near them. They shoot out very complex patterns of projectiles and stuff like that. You'll find a lot of enemies in the temple dungeon areas that have some really fairly complex bullet patterns and things that let them definitely challenge you, we'll say. Now, how do I get to the Crystal Foresty place? This has definitely been the most challenging place for me to navigate thus far. Usually they're fairly straightforward, although there is a bunch of room for exploration and also for little alcovey areas that you normally can't get to. For instance, in an earlier zone there are these towers that you can't actually enter until you corrupt the area. Then they open up and become these kind of enemy survival gauntlet thingies that are fairly challenging but reward you with some really good items if you're able to survive. I must admit I don't know where to go. Can I get in here? No, I can't get in here now. Well, if you look at the map, it can give you a little bit of a hint sometimes. It is definitely in the northern area of this zone that will lead me to that place, but I'm still not sure how to get there. I'd like to show you at least a little bit of one of the temples, or at least a different area. Let's see here. I'll tell you what, I will be right back as soon as I've reached the area. Give me a couple thousand years to actually explore and find it, and I will return. Okay, I'm back finally. It just took me a minute. Also, as a bit of a thing to say, these signs are really sarcastic. Once you've corrupted an area, the signs really like to make fun of you. There's some sort of secret, maybe, although it's hard to tell if the signs are joking or not, but I can't find it out yet. Anyway, finally found the entrance, and now that I have this boomerang that I got from the last area, I can use it to activate this. And there we go. Alright. Into the crystally area. So the variety of items that you can hold are important for a couple of reasons, not only because of the, you know, Zelda-esque style of the game trying to access new areas constantly, but also because the boss fights can actually get fairly challenging. They're really interesting. The boss and just general enemy design is quite good. Ow! As you can see here, this area is full of crystal-themed everything. That's some sort of evil crystal hedgehog. And the boss fights are definitely a lot of fun, and they certainly require a bit of extra strategy sometimes. And the various different types of items you can get are quite helpful. Like, say, what about this thing? It's a vortex bomb. Oh, it'll just suck everything up into it. And allow you to like easily damage things, and if there are a bunch of enemies you can actually kill a large number of them very quickly. There are also several items that react differently depending on what you have equipped. Like, the obvious one is the boomerang, which has a different element to it depending on what your main element that you actually have on your spell equipped is, and you can even change it in midair. And you also have things like this, which you can hit with your spells. Oh wait, no, that's a different one, isn't it? That's not the item that I meant to have equipped. Where is it? Yeah, that's different. That one also does change, but it's actually a turret. There's one that you can actually place down and attack with various weapons that will then basically spit out different projectiles and different patterns and things depending on what you actually hit it with. And it definitely gives the game that extra needed bit of variety. So the game does have very good variety in enemies, and areas, and in puzzles and things. The Bumbling Brook. And oh god, that's a human. I think you'll find that there is a good amount of content here for the price. So it is, like I may have mentioned already, $10 right now on Steam. And it is one of the better of these Metroidvania style RPG-esque sort of light games that have been a fairly good indie staple for a little while now, but sometimes it's hard to know exactly which ones may be for you, because they tend to have their own styles, things like Aquaria, things like Valda Story, and this one's style is actually very unique indeed, and it's probably the best part of it. They've obviously put a lot of attention and a lot of care into the game. There are a pretty good number of secrets and interesting things to find, we'll just say, especially when it has to do with those signs and their weirdness. And I think you'll find it pretty challenging to go around the levels and try and get everything, you know, try and be the completionist that you know you want to be. Find all of the souls, all of the extra items and little grottos and things, and basically try to experience all that the game has to offer. And for the price, ooh, ice cube. For the ice abilities, which I don't have yet. And I think that, yeah, you'll find that the game has to offer a very good amount for a very modest asking price of $10. It's got a good amount of gameplay. I'd say at least a good 8 hours to beat it once, depending on how much of a completionist you are. And I'd say that's a really nice ratio for your money. So yeah, check it out now, actually, on Steam. Again, that's the only place I have seen it for sale recently. So I don't know if maybe a couple of other sites probably have it, but right now I'm just going to link you to Steam because I haven't seen it on any of the other sites I tend to frequent for buying things. This has been Rack and Ruin, and I would highly recommend it if you like the Metroidvania style of kind of Zelda-like RPG-esque thingies, which is maybe a little excessive, but I am usually a pretty big fan of them because they often have a good amount of character to them when they're made well, and this one is certainly made very well. So, a little bit of a puzzle here to get through this area. This will be interesting. Alright, so thank you very much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.